welcome everybody back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, and I have the pleasure to bring you one of the best people who have definitely took the TSP to a whole new level, and it is Allie the Agent. How you doing today, Allie?
I am excellent. How are you, Anthony? I'm
doing fantastic. So one of the things that drew me to your page in general is mainly because you did like my page. Some of the comments on IG. And when I started digging through your content, and I was noticing that you really did maximize the TSP realm. So, and it's one of the things that I think a lot of the people that listen to the show that are either veterans, people that are currently working in the government that don't understand fully the TSP, and some people just leave their investments inside the G fund. But I've noticed that you've taken it a whole lot further. But before we get into all the fun stuff with the TSP, can you just let the people know who you are and how did you actually start getting into the TSP realm?
Yeah, absolutely. So Allie Garced, otherwise known as Allie the Agent on TikTok and Instagram. I'm active duty Air Force, been in for 9 years. I will be separating next year at year 10. Yes, halfway through retirement, but I'm separating. I invest in both stocks and real estate. So the majority of my portfolio is leaning toward real estate, but I have tried to maximize my stock investing as well. That's actually where I first started. So I have 5 rental properties and I have a Roth IRA. I max out the TSP and index funds on the side. Oh, and a little bit of crypto as well, because why not?
Right.
Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. I track my net worth regularly every single month, and my goal is to become a millionaire by December of next year, 2022.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. So, but what got you on this kick? What was that catalyst to say, because most people just go into the military and just thinking, well, I got nothing else to do, so just join the military. Why not? Until you figure out what you want to do in life. So what took you to that next level?
Yeah, so that would be a mixture of my family. So I'll go into a little bit of background of me altogether. So born and raised in White Plains, New York. It's just like 45 minutes north of the city, and born to immigrant parents. So my dad he's from Puerto Rico, but my mom's from Peru, and I have a younger sister. So it's the two of us. And well, first, you know what? Let me just say, I'm not a certified financial planner. All opinions are my own. I want to give that disclaimer now before I forget. Okay. Everything that I'm talking about is just what I have done, and it's worked for me. I cannot promise that it will work for you or anyone listening. So just letting you know that. But yeah, so I've been very fortunate to grow up with in a family that has always been pretty good with money, like super hard savers. My dad is actually in real estate as well, only real estate, like very anti stocks. I guess he got burned back in the day and then never trusted it again. So I grew up reading and just learning about the real estate game. So my dad's in residential and commercial as well. He gave me the book Rich Kid, Poor Kid. So Robert Kiyosaki's version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but for kids. So I was reading at like the age of 10. Money talks was pretty common in the family. He would whenever he'd open up a bill, he'd be like, "Hey, Allie, come here. This is the internet bill. They charged me like 100 more than they did last year. It just keeps increasing. So I'm going to go call them right now and negotiate." And he would always tell me everything in life is negotiable. I'm like, "Okay, Dad, everything in life's negotiable. What does the word negotiable mean?" I'm like 10. But yeah, pretty open about money there. Very fortunate to have parents that, wanted to progress the family line, the family tree. And they always, like, every single night, they were like, you're going to go to college. No matter what, we're going to help pay for college. Your only job is to be a good student, like, period. So very fortunate to have that. My dad was always around. Like, I'd wake up for school. My sister would wake up for school. My mom would get ready for work, and my dad would be at home. And then we'd come back from school and he would still be at home. And I'm like, "Dad, don't you have a job? And now I'm realizing, well, shit, he was financially independent, So he was always there, like every PTA meeting, every like swim team meet, every tennis match, softball game, like he was always there. So I know that I'm very fortunate to have had that. Not many people have that. They have parents at work, they're alone after school, they can get into some trouble that way. So I'm very fortunate to have that. Anyway, fast forward, I go to college. College is expensive. I joined the military to help out my parents because my parents were the one that was cash flowing it. And I went to Elon University, North Carolina. At the time, I think it was like $35,000 a year. I felt bad for my parents. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to join the military. So I told them after I signed the dotted line, they were like, you did what? Because they're from New York. Nobody joins the military from downstate New York. Oh my goodness. So yeah, he has taught me the real estate portion of what I know. And then once I joined the military, one of my good friends, Matt Gerald, shout out to Matt. He taught me essentially everything about stocks and TSP. I didn't know anything because I never grew up around that. We never spoke about that. And he told me to start investing in index funds. I was like, what is an index fund? And I trust him. He was like, do you trust me? I was like, yeah, I trust you. He was like, okay, give me your computer. Let me create an account for you. It's like, oh my gosh. So he literally took the computer from my hands and created an index fund account. Like I started investing in the NASDAQ 500 in 2013. So a year after I commissioned in the Air Force. And he was like, no matter what, pay yourself first. This is what goes into your account. And then live off the rest if you have anything, because this kid, Matt, at the time we lived in the same house, he lived in a closet so he could have his bills lowered. He was like, man, he took it to the extreme. But I'm very fortunate to have a friend like that.
Definitely. Wow. Yeah, I need to learn a little bit more about that rich kid, poor kid thing. Did you actually still read it to this day, or you just kind of just like whatever?
Okay. Huge reader. And I think what part of that was because my dad paid us to read. He would pay us at the time, the 90s, 25 cents a book to read. And then I would just tell him that I read it and he'd give me 25 cents. And then I negotiated with him because everything in life is negotiable. And I was like, you know what, Dad, I think I deserve $1 now. These books are getting bigger. So then I started getting $1 for every book that I read. So I started out with Robert Kiyosaki's, Rich Kid, Poor Kid. We played Cash Flow for Kids. That's, Robert Kiyosaki's board game. But I'm a huge reader now. Last year, I read 52 books solely on real estate and personal finance. The year before that, 2019, I read 49 books solely on personal finance and real estate and stocks. And just like, so I actually made it a goal for this year, 2021, to not read more than 30 books. Like 2021 is the year of taking action, Allie. You know what to do. Just keep doing it. Do it. Action. So, yeah.
Wow. See, it's so many things to dive into because it's like you don't hear too many stories where the father is actually diving into this, because most of the times that I hear about is mainly the women or the mother in their lives actually bringing up the financial aspect. It's really good to see that your dad was actually into it. And like you said, it probably could have got burned because I think very few people get into real estate. I think the only person that I've ever heard that strictly real estate, I think it was Brandon from Bigger Pockets. What
Turner,
was it?
yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Turner, yeah. And that's all he did was like strictly real estate. So you're like the only, that's just cool to hear that somebody else is like, you know what, real estate, tangible assets, I'm not dealing with it or taking guesses and stuff like that. So do you recall your first property?
Oh, yeah. First property that I purchased, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was in 2016. So at that point, I'd been in the Air Force for 4 years. 2015, actually, when I closed on it. Either way, 2015, 2016. It's a condo in Colorado Springs. 2-bed, 2-bath. And it was with the VA loan because military, that's one of the best loans out there for military. Quick way to gain wealth and get your foot in the door with real estate. Purchased a condo, and about a month later, I get notified that I'm deploying. So I was like, oh my gosh, wait, but I'm about to close on a condo. What do I do? I'm supposed to own or occupy it. But again, VA loan, intend to occupy. I was like, oh my gosh, I made sure that I didn't want to go to prison,
Right.
commit some sort of like felony. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I purchased a condo, VA loan with the intent to occupy, and then I deployed to Afghanistan. I never moved in. So I immediately rented it, and that was great. When I came back from Afghanistan, I actually did a PCS. I moved shortly thereafter, and never moved in it. That was my first rental, and I didn't run the numbers on it. I didn't. The reason I purchased it is because my dad was like, "Okay, purchase something. And I was like, "Yeah, but Dad, I have my stocks. My friend Matt, blah blah blah. This is growing." And he was like, "Okay, but you also need real estate. You need to diversify your portfolio." Okay, cool. So I was like, all right, Dad, I'll purchase something here. There's a condo over here, HOA fee, whatever that means, okay, done. Like, it was really just to please my dad. Like, I didn't run numbers as far as cash flow, like the way I do now. But I didn't get burned because luckily I broke even. Like every month I would break even, but every 2 years there's a major hailstorm and I have to come out of pocket for that. So I was like, man, I don't know if this was the right choice. I don't know if I like real estate. Right. And I told my dad, and he was like, no, hold on to it. You're in it for the long haul. You are not a short-term investor. Like, you are in it hold on to it. And I was like, okay, Dad, this is getting annoying. All these hailstorms in Colorado. And man, so it's 2021 now. I've had it for 5 years and I purchased it at 150 something, 158. It's now worth 275.
Are you serious?
And I was like, you know what? The lack of cash flow, I'm okay with that appreciation. That is insane. I was like, whoo, nice. My dad was right. What do you know?
One of the few times dads are right besides the dad jokes,
No, dads are never right with the dad
jokes. But I mean, and goes back to like the power of your environment that a lot of people always overlook. And one of the things I try to stress is like the people you hang around with are like your most influencers. So if you hang around a lot of people that, like, say if your dad wasn't really into real estate, but he was really into, I don't know, car renting business. And, it's like, hey, you got to buy a car. The next thing you're like, all right, Dad, I'll go buy a car. But now that, because he was constantly on you, and if you had like a lot of friends that were also doing it, it was like, well, all right, well, I'll just go get a car. And this is what everybody else does. And it's good that he had positive influence because, who knows what would happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree completely. If I had been, I don't know, friends with a different crowd or, different parents that didn't believe in saving and instead liked gambling a lot or who knows what, I wouldn't be here where I am today.
So now that you had that experience with your dad and understanding of like the environment setup, do you also now try to bring more people into that bubble of real estate, or do you just kind of like, well, you do what you feel comfortable with, but I'm gonna still run with these folks?
Oh, I try to bring everyone into real estate. Like, people are like, Allie, calm down. Like, we're just trying to eat dinner. I'm like, no, but you guys, you have a VA loan. So let me give you some unsolicited advice. No, I'm always talking about real estate and TSP. I mean, a lot of people just don't know. They don't take advantage of it because they don't know, and therefore they fear it. So don't just do it with a little bit of research and a little bit of a push, like a push that I got from my friend. I feel like I owe it to other service members to pass this on.
Now, what is one of the strategies that you do to kind of get people to take a look into their TSP, even just to sign in? Because a lot of people never signed into their account before. Yeah.
So I was there. The first, I would say, so my buddy Matt, when he took my computer, he was like, okay, your next step is on your own. You have to go into TSP, back when you're in the office, log in with your CAC, create an account. And I just never did. It was just over my head. I was in pilot training. I was busy, blah, blah, blah. I never did. So I didn't create an account until, I don't know, like at least 3 years. For the first 3 or 4 years, I was contributing the bare minimum, like bare minimum, little, like very little.
Not even a
Um,
match.
well, at that time, well, 2012, 2013, 14, I don't even know. No, like little, like 5%.
Mm.
And I never moved it out of the G fund. I was like, well, I'm investing. Don't worry. Yeah, I got it 5%. No. Oh my gosh. Like, what bills did I have at my first duty station in Enid, Oklahoma? Nothing. There's nothing to do in Enid, Oklahoma. What? Oh my. Beer was 25 cents.
Are
You
you
know, come
serious?
on. Yeah.
What?
Granted, it's 3.5% alcohol, so it's nothing, but man. So yeah, I start with that. Like a lot of people don't know and they're embarrassed because they don't know. So they just don't talk about it and then they just avoid it. So I start with my story. I'm like, hey, I didn't even start maxing it out until 3 years ago, which is what, year 6 of me in the military. That's late. I mean, there are always people that have done it later, but I think about how much more I could have contributed if I had maxed it out earlier. So I told them, like, hey, I was right there with you. Years, the first 6 years, the first 5 years, not maxing it out. It's okay. And I go with them on the computer, like, hey, create an account and move that shit out of the G funds. You have to go on like Mypay is the first step. At least on Mypay, you can start allocating money, moving money from your paycheck before you ever see it, and it goes straight to to your TSP. The next step is Tsp.gov, where you move where it's going to be invested. So it's a 2-step process, and people usually stop at the first step. Just kind of push them.
Yeah, it's pushing people. Some people I talk to that are either just getting into the military or just getting into a government position, and they always look at their TSP and they're like, well, it's too many things to choose from. I'm like, it's not really if you actually look at the stock market. This is minor, like maybe 6 total. If you look at the 6 overall stuff, not including the L fund, because the L funds is just a composite of all 6. But like, come on, something.
Yeah, I mean, there's the G, F, C, S, I.
That's it.
That's
it. So are you comfortable sharing your percentages on like how you have your allocations out?
Absolutely. So did you want to say something else?
Oh no, go for it. I was just wondering.
Okay. Yeah. So originally, like I said before, when I first started, it was just the G fund. What a mistake. Oh my goodness. But now I took it all out of the G fund and did the Interfund Transfer, which means this is on Tsp.gov. The Interfund Transfer is when you take out all the money that you have already put in, take it out of the G fund and move into something else. So I follow now, it's 50, 30, 20. 50% of it goes into the C fund, which follows the S&P 500. And 30% goes into the S fund, which is small cap. So that's like small to mid-size US stocks. And it tracks the Dow Jones like total stock market index. And then 20%, the remainder goes into the international fund. I recently increased. I do not suggest playing around with like moving it all the time percentages. So do not follow my advice. But as soon as COVID hit, I was like, you know what? The way that I think America is and how we're not going to listen, I was like, I think international is going to do better than the US. So I increased my percentage from 10% to 20% international, which is the I fund.
Nice. So I'll share mine. I actually do 90% in the C fund, and then I do 10% in the L2065. I was like, why not? Just as a safety net, I was like, I could do 10% there. So I can still cover all of them in case I miss something in the C fund. That's why I did it. Yeah. And that's then, and with this time around, this will be the first time I actually get to maximize the TSP. So I'm on par. I'm getting it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. After, let's see, I've been in the government for 4 years. So I'm like you. Yeah. Just started small. Like I got a lot of debt. So I was like, well, I'm going to start off with the little 3%. And then work my way up 1% each year. And then I was like, 5% isn't that bad. And I paid off a lot of my credit cards. Everything was done. So I was like, let's max it out for this year and let's roll with it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats. Early
Yeah.
congrats.
Thank you. So so as we both said, both of us, is for those of you who are listening or watching, it's never too late. You just got to do it.
Never too late. Yeah, I just had an Instagram message from somebody that's been in for 18 years. I was like, is it too late? No, do it now. But, it's not too late, but do it today.
Now, as far as the matching, I know it's like 5% is kind of the standard right now to match. And I think they do, I think for new employees, they give them 3% automatically. I'm not sure. Have you looked into that?
Yeah. So that's what I read as well. I think that started in 2018, like because January 1st, 2018 is when they made a lot of changes, like with the blended retirement system, the BRS. And then those that were like in the middle had that option to go into that, as well as the matching. And that's my understanding as well, is that new employees are automatically invested 3% into the life cycle fund, which is great. It no longer goes straight to the G fund. Oh man, that's amazing.
That's a step up. That's really
like hello, okay, government, dang. Yeah, and then but you still have that 2% extra remaining. That's yours. Like people say it's free money. It's what you sign on the dotted line for. Like that is yours. You cannot let that 2%. You have to take advantage of it.
Right. And the thing about like what that extra 2%, and it's different. Each pay grade gets that different 2%. So it's like that 1% would be on whatever step you're on plus whatever grade. I forgot how the calculations are set up. And then that extra 1% is just 100% yours. I can't remember how they split it out. They explain on Tsp.gov. I'll put links in the show notes.
Yes. Yeah. And that has all the resources, and it's easy to read. People think TSP and they think it's going to be difficult. It's easy. It's an easy read. I'm granted I love reading, but it's really not that nerdy, I don't think. Just right. Tsp.gov.
So for those other people, have you ever done a TSP loan?
I have not. No. Okay. So I think of my TSP as a really rainy day fund. So I don't want to take out a TSP loan if I don't have to.
That makes sense. I was wondering if you were doing that to kind of grow your portfolio. So can you take us back a little bit further? Because you talked about the first property. So now that you've, getting ready for that 1 million next year. All right. Yeah. So take us through that journey to get you here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say one of the biggest boosts when I first started was that deployment. So I got that condo, VA loan, rented it out, deployed. While I was deployed, I didn't really know where to put my money. Again, I wasn't putting it in the TSP. It was the bare minimum. I had increased it to 15% and thought I was a baller. I was like, oh man, 15%, which is still amazing. But I also had no bills when I was in Afghanistan. I used to lease cars. So I even got to return that. I didn't even have a car payment, like nothing. All I had was my mortgage. So I was like, well, I don't know what else to do with this money. And I know that I should be doing something positive. So I was making triple mortgage payments every month. So that helped with the equity in that a lot. I was making phone calls from Afghanistan. And I remember the lady from the mortgage company was like, oh my gosh, you're going to pay off this 30-year loan in like 11 years. I was like, well, I'm not going to hopefully I won't be in Afghanistan for 11 years, just for now. But yeah, so while I was doing that, I was also putting more into the NASDAQ fund. So that helped a lot. And then I got back from deployment. I went to Monterey, California, wasn't going to buy anything there. Came down here to Tucson, where I am now, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and I purchased my second property. This was 2018-19. Single family home that with a VA loan again. So second time I used the VA loan, 2 VA loans out at once. Yes, you can do that. And then I got married. So I took that house and now it's an Airbnb that I self-manage and it's making pretty good money. I actually got that on a 15-year loan because I was thinking if I did the full if I did the full retirement for the military, that at that time, the year that I got out, that house would be completely paid for and completely cash flowing. Plans change, but I'm still glad that I did the 15-year loan, something different that I could afford. And then the next year, I purchased a sight unseen property in Oklahoma City, the Return Key property or company. That's been doing pretty well. And I say Oklahoma City, I spent some time in Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma. So I knew a little bit about it. It wasn't completely random. And then I almost did another sight unseen, ironically here in Tucson, but I traveled so much in my previous job that I almost closed when I was in Curacao or Aruba, one of the two. But that was a duplex. My first multifamily was a duplex here in Tucson. So that has helped. The equity in my second property, the single family, that also has appreciated an insane amount. Another at least 90,000 there in the last 3 years. Like, this is crazy. I love real estate.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have quite a bit of equity in both those two properties. Eventually, within the next 4 months, I plan on doing a 1031 exchange into an apartment building.
Can you explain a 1031 just a little bit for those who don't know?
Yeah. So I haven't done it, so I don't know the specific ins and outs yet, but I know enough to get an attorney or use a 1031 like specific company that will help me. But essentially it's 45 days to identify the 3 properties, and you have 180 days to close. So by the time you decide to do a 1031 exchange, you should already have done research on where you want to essentially identify properties already. But the benefit of a 1031 exchange is that you don't have to pay taxes when you sell that property. It just rolls right into the next one. As long as you get a like kind property, which I verified, and going from a condo to an apartment building is considered like kind. It's residential. You don't have to pay taxes. If I wanted to sell that apartment building later on, I'd have to pay taxes on it, unless I want to do another 1031 exchange and just keep increasing. So benefits the government because you're stimulating the economy, and it benefits you because you can kick taxes down the road until you die.
Well, until the taxes change, which they do every year. So we'll see what this current administration plan on doing.
Very true.
Yeah, because with these capital gains, I'm like, why are they changing it and hurting the real estate economy? But we're not going to talk about that today. It's not a political show. So, and it's really good that you broke it down, at least for the time wise, at least 180 days and 60 days for closing, right?
45 days to identify, 180 to close.
45 to identify. Okay. And then because you always hear about it, and a lot of people don't know. Now, you cannot do a 1031 exchange on the property that you plan on living in. But you can do like a live and flip, but you have to at least live there for at least 2 years, so you can actually keep all your capital gains, versus when you do an investment property where you can actually do a 1031 to a new property, which is great that a lot of people don't know. So thank you so much for actually talking about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is this new like this apartment complex that you're looking into, is this how many doors are you looking at there?
So I'm thinking a buddy of mine is moving out to Scott Air Force Base in Belleville, Illinois.
Yep, Belleville.
It's about like an hour east of St. Louis. And he's already purchased 2 properties before even PCSing out there. He doesn't even, PCS is next week. But anyway, so that's kind of the area where I'm thinking, because he's talking up. I've done some research, and even though the population has declined since the 60s, it's been a very, very slow decline since then. It's nothing dramatic. So there's good, companies there, the Air Force Base there, Boeing is there. I'm going to see how much I can get. I'm thinking 20 doors. I would love to do 30, because I would be rolling in $300,000 as a down payment.
Mm.
See how much I can get.
All through the VA loan?
All through the VA loan. Those two properties, that condo in Colorado and my Airbnb that I have now, I'm going to combine them, do a 1031 exchange. I have almost $300,000 of equity in both of them. So yeah, that both of those are going to go into the apartment building.
Nice. Okay. And then so you pretty much closing down 2 doors to open up 20.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That is awesome.
With the VA loan where I paid nothing down. I paid, $3,000 closing costs the first time and then maybe $5,000 closing costs the second time. So $8,000 in.
That is crazy.
$300,000 equity.
Right.
The power of real estate. Yeah.
And then do you know what the cash flow looking like per door, roughly?
No, but I know that it does meet, generally speaking, I know that the Illinois, that area of Illinois does meet the 1.5% rule, which is pretty nice. So yeah.
We can always increase it, slaps a little bit of paint here, cut some grass there, make it work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now with these other properties, are you following the Dave Ramsey rule, which is just kind of pay off each property before you move to the next, or how you playing this?
Yeah, so originally I was, because I really don't like debt. That's just the way I was brought up. Like I really don't like debt, but I know that I can make more money, by not putting that into the property, by putting that in more stocks. So I have actually used my index fund, that NASDAQ 500 fund, outside of, the TSP, to purchase my most recent duplex, which has been nice. I forget your question.
Oh, no, it's fine. It was just because the way how you approach the debt, which is actually pretty good. And a lot of people think that it would be best to pay off your properties. Because if you're moving into this new apartment, do we have any other properties on the side, or this will just be the one?
Yeah. So once I sell the 2 and roll into the apartment building, I will still have 2 properties, 3 doors. So I'll still have my single family in Oklahoma. That one hasn't appreciated too much, but the cash flow is pretty good. So that's why I'm not selling that one. And then I'll have the duplex here in Tucson. I'm slowly renovating that one.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So do you plan on paying those completely off and then just kind of leave the debt with the apartment, or what's next?
Yeah. So what you're talking about actually I've read a lot on Coach Carson. Mm-hmm. He's written a book. I really like those different strategies that he points out. So not really a fan of Dave Ramsey once you are out of credit card debt. He's great to get you out of credit card debt. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. After that, no, not so much. Also, I want to plug the Financial Feminist. She's like the female version of Dave Ramsey. I love her. So I follow her more so than Dave Ramsey. And anyway, so as far as paying properties off, at the end of the day, like my end goal, yes, I do not want to have a loan when I retire, which my financial freedom age goal is the age of 45. By the age of 45, yeah, I don't want bills. I want my car paid off. I want my, at least majority of my properties paid off. So whether that means me taking money out of stocks again to pay for it, that's what I'll do.
Nice. Now, not your TSP stocks, but actually your regular stocks that you're doing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Or even crypto. I'll have my Bitcoin pay for it.
Now, we can dive into crypto a little later when we start talking about the futures, because I actually am interested on how you approach that mindset to get into crypto. I haven't touched it yet. I'm just investing on the side there.
Yeah.
But before we get there, so you talked about how passionate you are about the TSP, and then also with the real estate aspect. But for those other people that are listening right now that are looking to get their very first property, what is it that you would suggest that they do? What are like the top 5 things that they would need?
Okay, good question. Yeah. So are we talking about federal service members that would, or military that would have access to the VA loan, or in general?
Let's go with the VA loan, and then just keep it fine-tuned.
Yeah, cool. One is get rid of all stupid debt. Stupid debt equals credit card debt. That's what I mean. You're never going to get good interest rate if you have a lot of credit card debt. So getting into, first of all, would be more so getting into the mentality of not getting dumb debt. Because that will, man, you're just taking steps backward at that point. So getting rid of debt, changing that mentality into thinking, hey, if I can't afford what I'm purchasing, what I'm swiping right now, if I can't afford to pay for it today, I can't afford it. Move on to a lower quality one. You don't need that top, I'm not really into brands or anything, but luckily, but you can afford it. So next, so mentality change, the credit card. If you have access to the VA loan, then absolutely. First is talking around to different mortgage companies. You shop around interest rates. What I like to do is, of course, as soon as you contact a mortgage company, they're going to say, oh yeah, let's pull your credit. Here's an application. Here's my link. Try to get at least, I do 10 to 12 mortgage companies every time, but try to get at least 4. Call around 4 different ones and say, hey, assuming my credit score of XYZ, which you can find on Experian.com, don't use Credit Karma. It's slightly skewed. So assuming my credit score of XYZ, assuming a 30-year loan, if that's what you plan on doing, or 15, 20-year loan, fixed rate, assuming what else, like this location and this price range, what would the interest rate be? And they'll usually be able to tell you at least a ballpark. It's not going to be exact, but you have a ballpark. So within that same day, before the interest rates change for the next day, call around three more, and then find out which one you want to go with. Which one is the lowest one?
Hold on. So before you move on, because that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize. Now, you mentioned the rates change daily.
They change every day. Yeah.
What?
That's what a lender told me. I'm not a mortgage lender, but yeah, I purposely have always called, like I designate one day because I call 12. I call 12 different ones. Hey, assuming this, what's the rate? What's the rate? What's the rate? And they're like, well, apply. I'm like, no. Assuming this, just assume.
Because I never thought about that because I was looking into doing my first property. And so I'm being selfish here.
Yes. Go for it.
So you mean to check daily? Jeez, I'm up here thinking like, give me a week, figure out, what I could actually do. So you're saying start early in the morning, pretty much like 8 o'clock or something, or 7?
Yeah, 9 o'clock I think is usually when they open, like local credit unions, and go for local credit unions. Don't do big banks, like don't do Wells Fargo, Bank of America, etc. Chase. Do Tucson Federal Credit Union or whatever is the city, that you're in.
Okay.
They usually are able to provide better rates.
Is it the city that you're in or the city that you plan on purchasing the property in?
Good question. Yeah. So I have found that when doing long distance real estate investing, you usually don't have access to the federal credit unions in that city since you don't live there. A lot of times the requirement is that you live there. Ask anyway. Ask until, you're going to know. Otherwise, ask the city that you're in. Say, hey, do you lend in Illinois? Maybe they do. Maybe. Or maybe they know someone that does.
Smart. All right. Sorry to cut you off there. I was just like kind of curious about that interest rate because I didn't even think about, on a daily basis on what you need to purchase. I'm sorry. Get back to number 3.
Okay. Yeah. So shop around mortgage, shop around for what your interest rate is going to be. And then shop around agents. So go on biggerpockets.com. If you're looking to invest in a property, I would say, go on biggerpockets.com. Or if somebody comes recommended to you, ask if they invest themselves. I have asked previous agents before. It's like, oh, are you a real estate investor? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Can you tell me about your portfolio? Oh, I bought my house and I live in it. I was like, that's not a real estate. Okay. Thank you for your time, sir. So, just a quick vetting, like, cool. Can you tell me about your portfolio? I'm ready to learn. And usually if they're investors, they will tell you all about their portfolio. So Shop around interest rates, shop around agents, and let's see, what number are we on now? Is that 4 or 5? And then
yeah, yep, that's 4.
yeah, and then so at that point you should have at least a pre-approval before having your credit run. Keep in mind that once your credit is run once, you might as well get your credit run with the other in mortgage lenders that you were considering, because the credit companies will see that, and they won't, instead of dinging you every single time, they'll put everything within that 30-day period, and it'll just be one ding on your credit because they know that you're house hunting. So if you haven't already narrowed down where you want to invest, that's the time to narrow down, start running numbers, find a property, etc. Because getting pre-approved, pre-qualified, that takes a while. So by the time in this market, by the time you find a property, it's not going to be there when you get your pre-approval letter.
Nice. That is awesome. I mean, you're hearing it right here. Everybody from the agent herself, Miss Allie, giving it everything you need to do. So if somebody wanted to actually start investing with you and investing with your company, what would they need to do?
Yeah. So someone who wanted to invest in the area of Tucson, where I'm an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So exactly that. Right now, especially in the Tucson market, I mean, everywhere really, but especially Tucson, there's no point of driving around or me driving around taking videos of properties if you don't have your pre-approval, pre-qual letter yet. Their property is just not going to be there. Yeah, you submit your pre-qual letter, pre-approval letter with the offer. So if the sellers don't see that you're working with a bank already, then they're not going to. That's not going to look good. It's not going to compare to other offers that show proof of funds, that show that they're qualified and ready to go. So that's number one is, and then putting them on a list of whatever they're looking for. Single family in a certain area, wanting a certain cash flow. Tucson is a little bit difficult to get the 1%, but you can get like 0.8%. I got the 1%. It just was a gem. I was like, oh wait, I'm jumping on it. That's why I was in Aruba or Curacao. I'll get like, close now, buy this one. But yeah, so looking around, doing some numbers. I love that I right now have the time to analyze properties with whoever has been coming to me so far, like through Bigger Pockets and whatnot. I've been working with for like first-time investors. So they don't know the Tucson area as much as I do. A lot of times they're from California, Hawaii, all over the place. So I'm like, hey, you run your numbers, send it to me on a fake property, on a property that that you're not going to buy. So that way, like, just to get started. So to give you like a little bit of a heads up, run your numbers on how you think you would cash flow without looking at yours. I will run my own and let's compare. Like, let's do a Zoom call. Let's compare. I'll tell you what you're missing. I'll tell you if a lot of times in Tucson specifically, the zoning is an issue. You'll see triplexes that are actually taxed as a duplex. So it's like illegal, no permit. Nobody pulls permits here. Oh my goodness. So just little things like that you really need an agent that invests in that area to help you out.
All right. Will you be willing to do a quick mock-up right now? You got time?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm actually on your page right now, so let's go down and run through your page. Let me
Cool.
see if I can. Let me see if I can share a window right here. Give me a moment. Obviously, I'm gonna cut out me, just him and Anon over here. All right, share. Cool. Let me know when you can see.
All right, I can see it.
All right, and you see us hanging out?
Yep.
Cool. All right. All right. So on your page, I guess I could look like I'm looking all over the place here. So let's see. We're just gonna bring it down to a single family. All these things checked here. All right. So we got a single family looking for. It doesn't matter. Let's find some beds. Minimum 2-bathroom, because if we're going to make this a rental, at least have something there. And we're going to say ballpark of 200,000. Oh, I'm sorry. The max is 200,000. And then we don't care about the min. Now we're looking directly on your page. So Now, are you guys using like a particular MLS, or is this a special page that you guys have, like a special
Yeah.
search?
So this follows, the Tucson Association of Realtors, the Flex MLS there. It's a
Okay.
lot faster than, what you'll find on Redfin, Zillow, etc.
Awesome. All right. So with this property here, we got just going to pick the first one, which is I guess people don't know it's already on sale anyway. So give out people addresses. It's 4208 North 16th Place, single family, 1700 square foot, 3 beds, 2 bath, at sitting right there at the max at 199,099. Gotta love the numbers here.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to view these details. Now, do you normally do this on like a napkin now that you get it down in like 30 seconds, or you just kind of get us through your process so
Yeah.
somebody want to go through?
Absolutely. So the first thing that I do is I plug this into Asr.pima.gov. And what that is, that's the county tax. You can find the taxes, the correct taxes, because Zillow isn't always right. And you can find what it's zoned for. So a lot, like what I was saying before, this one is a single family, so chances are it's zoned and correctly in a single family. But a lot of multifamily, which a lot of investors want, they're not taxed correctly, and that's not good. So if you're to purchase a triplex, which I almost did here in Tucson, I found out, luckily before placing an offer, that it was actually taxed as a duplex. So that additional unit was not legal. And hey, people here do that all of the time. If you are unopposed to that sort of risk, then hey, go for it. But I don't want that sort of risk, because I know that if that tenant in that illegal unit were to find out that that house is actually a duplex and not a triplex, they can collect all of their rent back for the entirety of their stay. What, like that? No, thank you. So, but it happens all the time. People purchase it anyway. People knowingly purchase it, sometimes unknowingly. So that's the first thing that I do, is like verify the tax amount and the zoning.
Okay, and what was that website again for this particular Arizona?
Yeah, so for Tucson, it's ASR.Pima, PIMA. That's Pima County. That's the one that we're in. .gov.
Nice. All right, and I'll make sure I'll put this in the show notes as well for those people. So this is the first thing we do: check out the zoning and everything like that. All right, and then
check out what it's taxed at. And then my next step is to verify what I think that it could rent for. So I have Rentometer. I use Rentometer, and I also have a property manager here. So I do both. I go on Rentometer and I message the property manager, hey, how much would this one rent for? What do you think? What do you know that I don't know about it? Because I'm not a property manager. And so I compare the two. Usually in a lot of areas in Tucson, Rentometer is actually a little bit high. So I usually take away like $100 for Rentometer in Tucson. At that point, I know whether legally I'll get in any trouble by purchasing through the Asr.pima.gov. And then I also know how much more or less I'll be able to get for rent. If I like the two, then I just use the Bigger Pockets calculator. I love it.
All right, let's see. It's so many places I gotta go in here. So you got Rentometer on one page.
Yep.
And then you said Bigger Pockets count. I think they did open it up to everybody, didn't they?
I don't know. So when I first started, you have 5 times to access and use that calculator before you have to purchase. So,
okay. I mean, I have.
If not, I'll give you my login.
Oh no,
I
it's
don't
not
care.
necessary.
I'll give you my login for Rentometer too. I mean, if I can help you, shit.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I just wanted to for this run through that we have right here. So we just wanted to do a basic rental property calculator. Is that the one you want to talk about? This one? Okay. For those who are listening, we actually looking on to oh man, it went to full login. All right, let me see if I can do my login here. Hopefully I don't have a 2-factor. Sweet. Guess you get to see my email address.
I could do it on mine as well in case yours doesn't work.
Oh my gosh. One other second. All right. I guess I'll pause this out for the audio piece.
Okay.
Let people watching it, they're going to get all this fun stuff. Okay. Hey, welcome back. All right. Since we have the address here, which is the 4208 16th place, throw it right in the loop and take that out. I love copy and paste. Oops. What are these? And a zip code. What do we got? It's
85705. Oh, Tucson. Yep.
Oh man, that's right, David. That takes a lot longer than I expected. Let's go back to. I don't want to waste too much time going through the Bigger Pockets calendar. But for those of you who are really interested, check out the Bigger Pockets calendar, get your account, and walk through, because they'll talk about the purchasing price, the loan details, rental income, and your expected expenses. Because it's lengthy, but it's well worth it to go through it. I'm sorry, I didn't want to waste, because it will take me forever to try to type all that stuff in.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so just a quick research, and usually you get it on Rentometer too, just to find it on a map. That property that you purchase is in the area of Flowing Wells. Flowing Wells it's a huge mobile home community, and usually crime is a little bit higher there. So that's something that, off the bat, I know that area, and that's something that I would relay to the investors. Yeah.
Okay. And then with this particular property, going through, they had to kick me out. Kicking me out your page. So with this particular property, granted that if we're looking at the 1% rule, which is usually 1% of the total price of the property, so you're looking at around $2,000 roughly for rent. Does that still seem to be a valid price range around there?
Nope. For this one to meet the 1% rule would have to sell for $145,000. So wow. It's only $50,000 more. So that's what I'm saying. It's actually a little bit difficult to meet the 1% rule in Tucson. When it is, snatch it. Otherwise, what's nice about Tucson is the appreciation. Granted, you don't bank on appreciation ever, but that's been nice. So I think consistently you will find 0.5%. Good days you'll find 0.8, and usually there's a gem that's 1% or higher.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for those of you who are actually really interested, I would say definitely get in touch with Allie, because Allie, the agent, to make sure that you really dive in with her and our team. Because obviously we looked at the page, as you can already see, or have seen if you're looking at this on YouTube. There's plenty of properties. The site is so easy to use. Thank you for making it easy. Because I actually just did a recent episode talking about the middleman and how important the middleman is to making life a lot easier for the consumer and also for the seller. So thank you for making life easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I love, so I joined Shelby Osborne's team, 5 Pillars. and they are all investors. And almost, I think all of them are military or prior military. So it was a group that I definitely felt that I could connect with. And they have resources up the wazoo, like calculators for everything, like both for investor side, you being an agent. So I love like what Shelby has done with the team and Mike Glaspie. It's stuff that I love sharing with the investors that I'm working with as an agent.
Nice. You gotta show the shirt. You got the shirt on.
Yeah. So I created this shirt actually. Okay. Backtrack. I didn't create the shirt. My wife's twin created it, and she hasn't set up like a website yet. But I'm gonna tell Shelby doesn't even know that I have the shirt. So look at it. 5 Pillar Steve logo, and then on the side here the EXP. But what I like the best is on the back. It says "Ask me about real estate."
Hey, I like it. I love it.
Agent.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely gotta give her some props soon. So when this episode comes out, I'm sure everything will be ready.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
So we talked about TSP, how much you love it, how we can actually use the VA loan to get your properties, how you've grown your portfolio, how somebody can actually start working with you guys, what they need to do with the legwork on their end, and understanding the importance that you guys as the middle company to actually get them to where they want to be, all the resources that you are already tapped into. So is there anything else that I've missed out on that you would like to leave everybody here with today?
I guess just if they want to do their own research, there's the Tsp.gov. Again, it's an easy read. You can also find out about the TSP on Military.defense.gov. It's also an easy read. And if you have any other questions, if you don't like reading, then find me on Instagram, send me a message. Happy to walk through it with you. I love helping people work their way toward financial freedom. So if you are looking to purchase in Tucson, let me know. But yeah. So as you know already, like what I said, I'm active duty Air Force, been in 9 years, and I plan on leaving a comfortable W-2. And it's kind of scary to think about, but I'm becoming a full-time real estate agent starting next year. And I love the team that I'm on, and I would love to show others that it's really not as scary as you think. So if anybody has any interest in becoming a real estate agent, especially on the investor side, helping investors, you becoming an investor yourself, I would love to help teach you. I really love teaching. So if you have any interest at all, and like, I hate, like, I don't want to be like that EXP, person like, oh, join EXP. But I would just love to be the person to bounce questions off of if you have any questions related to being a real estate agent.
Awesome. And the best way to contact you, is it via email or just go directly to your EXP Realty site?
Actually, it would probably be best over Instagram. Instagram or email would be number 2. So Ali, A-L-I, at Garced Realty, Garced, realty.com.
All righty. Thank you so much for that. And everybody, if you're actually looking into it, you know who to contact. Ali the agent. All right. All right. Well, as I like to end this show with my final 4 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first one, what does wealth mean to you?
G's in the bank. Just kidding. Completely kidding. Wealth. Your face. Okay. Wealth to me means time. So like going back to the story about my dad always being at home, I make him sound like a bum. He's not. But just time. Like I want to, I don't even have kids yet, but I actually am scared to have kids before I'm financially independent. And I want to be able to provide as much as I can for them, not just money, but my time, because time is the most precious resource. So I want to be there for all the school events for my kids, my unborn kids. I don't even plan on making it. Like I want to be there for everything. So If my kids are sick one day, I want to be able to just stay home and not have to work. Essentially, work optional, family first. So just like my parents provided their what they could, their best to me and my sister, that's what I want to do, and even more so with my kids.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
I kind of miss out because you realize that a lot of parents do miss out on those key areas and moments of their child's lives, like, their sports. Like, hey, you can look up in the stands, like, yeah, my mom's there, and you'd be like, well, my mom ain't there yet, or my dad ain't there. You have those moments. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
definitely.
You want to be there.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite financial book or non-financial book?
Okay, so like I said previously, I have read probably, I don't want to say all of them, but a shit ton. Sorry if I can't curse on the podcast. I read so many. But my number one book, period, out of all time, is Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. Not so much a financial book there, but that's how much I love it. Like, I only read about finances, but Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek has been the best. I think it hit me at the right time to where, I mean, I wasn't very happy in that at that time in my life with my job. And so I actually listened to that one on audiobook. So I would, like, on the way to work and on the way back from work, like, it'd be Tim Ferriss reading out loud. And I'd be like, yes, yeah, I agreed with everything you would say. I'm like, yes, I'm like screaming by myself in the car. Like, I must look like a crazy, I mean, I guess I am. I don't know. Yes. So, like, it hit me at the right time, so the main highlights, I don't know if people even want to read it. I know that people don't read as much as I do. But essentially the 40-hour work week was designed for one particular industry. And then everyone else just adapted it. And there was no real rhyme or reason that everyone else started working 40 hours just because that one industry had started it. So there I was, it was like 2019 when I listened to that book. And I was like, man, 4-hour work week, and how much more efficient you can be if you worked from home. And I was like, that concept, how foreign. And then COVID hits. I was like, oh my gosh. So we started working from home, and I applied Tim Ferriss's concepts as much as I could. Like, when you work from home, you fucking work. Like, you make your boss not ever deny you work from home again. And that was not hard. Let me tell you that. We worked in a bullpen office at the time. Chatty Cathy's left and right. The amount of procrastination. Oh my goodness. It was just very inefficient. But again, work for the government. So
right. Since the urgency is not there at all.
No, it's the government. It'll be there tomorrow. So it just hit at the right time, all of it. So that's my favorite non-financial. And my favorite financial book is honestly anything Bigger Pockets Real Estate. Bigger Pockets Publishing has such tactical information that you can take action on. It's not theory like Robert Kiyosaki and some other authors. It tells you, step by step what to do. Like Long Distance Real Estate Investing by David Green. That's an amazing book. The Rental Property Investing book by Brandon Turner, right behind you. That's an amazing book. All of Bigger Pot, there it is. Right. That's an amazing book. And all of the Bigger Pockets Publishing, like the Chad Carson, all of them. Yeah, they give you step by step what to do. There's no excuse not to do it. It's right there in front of you.
Yeah, and I actually read that book. I think I was on a flight, just using up my credit cards and everything like that, just for like free flights. And I was like, my first free flight, and I was like, I had a nice little read with that. It was awesome.
That's nice, right? Yeah.
Man, it's good to see like light up about reading. It's great.
Nerd.
I'm trying to get there with you. I'm like, I think because I used to catch the metro a lot to DC. So I used to read at least one book a week because it's a long train ride. But now that I got to drive everywhere, I don't really get time to read like I used to. So I figure out a way to get there. Well,
if you want to do audiobooks, I suggest, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Scribd, SCRIBD. It's like $9.99 a month, and it's unlimited. There's some pretty good books on there. Not everything. Don't forget the power of YouTube. I listen to a ton of my books that way. So YouTube and Scribed.
All right, I'll definitely put that in the show notes for those of you who are just like me, who have a hard time to figure out time to read. Because with YouTube and also with podcasts, I actually put them all at ×2 speed because some people do read slow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I talk slow, so I know how that is. So so what did you learn from your favorite job?
My favorite job. This is kind of sad to say, I guess. My favorite job was like 12 years ago. Like, not in the Air Force. I was an RA in college. And I know, like, people, when they think RAs, they think people busting them for drugs and weed, drinking underage. But it was such a good community of people that I was there with. And honestly, I think the majority of the groups the people that were RAs at Elon University in circa 2008 to 2012, they were a lot of minorities. And because it was paid, I mean, we went to a very, very like uppity, school. And to help out my parents, I became an RA, and it was like, what a good community. And it taught me the power of, not that I'm good at it all, but it got me more comfortable with public speaking, because you have to address all of your residents. And you have to hold them accountable too. I was a very, very shy kid growing up. And so becoming an RA really boosted my confidence, because I was able to, like, knowing that I could talk to a group of people and say, hey, quiet hours or this, like, otherwise I'm coming to get you. Like, no drinking, I'm coming to get you. But it was just like a way to speak, connect with people, but also joke. You don't have to be stern and in order to be a leader, which is what you are as an RA. So you learn at a young age, like essentially telling your peers, your own age, what to do. And then I joined the military, and everything's like very stern and blah, blah, blah. The more professional you are, the less the character, like personality you have. Like, oh man.
You got to say yes to everything. And
yeah,
fun stuff. All right. Last question. What is your favorite dish to make?
Okay. So I liked when you asked what's my favorite pastry,
Okay.
but I'll go with the dish. I actually asked my wife this yesterday. I was like, what's your favorite dish of mine that you like eating? And she was like, girl, I don't know. But I do enjoy making salmon, baked salmon, a little bit of rice, broccolini or broccoli. I mix that in with some like walnuts usually, or like shaved almonds, something like that. It's easy. And then I drown it in lime. Oh, I love some lime.
Really?
Man, I drown it. I don't drown Brits, my wife. I don't drown hers. But I love me some lime. Dang, it's good. The pastry, though, the pastry would have been a Cinnabon. Oh my goodness, what I would do for a Cinnabon. And it has to be like a Cinnabon, like from the mall, not homemade, not anything else, like cinnamon rolls. No, Cinnabon, dude. Cinnabon. Oh my goodness. Every month I am there, except for now, because 5 Pillars team, the real estate group that I'm on, we all started a diet to get ready for our team trip in Belize in November.
Wow.
I'm dreaming about Cinnabons.
Right.
So this one hit especially hard, this question.
Yeah, because you can tell you listen to some of my older ones, because I had to switch it up because a lot of people weren't into the pastry thing. I was like, well, at least everybody like to eat. Somebody got to cook something. So that's the reason why I try to pick a more universal question for the number 4.
I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back old school.
Bring it back old school. Season one. I got you.
Yeah.
Right. And I do appreciate you listening to the show. It really shows, and I thank you so much for that. So.
Absolutely. I love what you're doing for the community, because a lot of people don't talk about money, never had the access to talk about money, and therefore it embarrasses them, and therefore they're further behind because of that. When instead, just a little bit of knowledge, take some action, it'll go so much further. So, and it's free. Like, I love the content that you put out. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it is free. Because I was talking to my mom, and back on like sharing and actually taking action on it. Because I was talking to my mom, I would say maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking about credit card stuff. And I was like, Mom, so you used to, work at a credit card company, and they taught you about like creating authorized users. And she used to have like people have their kids and give them credit cards and stuff like that so they could shop in the store. And I was like, so you knowing about this information, you held on to this information until now. And I'm like in my late 30s. And it's like, so you could at least took action, like put one of us as an authorized user just to test it out. You could have set us up like 5 or 6 tiers ahead of our peers and so forth, or even not even our peers, but even for that next generation to have credit established sooner. But yet you just sat on this information. So now it's like, and now I'm finding out that she has so much more information, but I'm like, you never shared this or took action on it. And it's like, so you purposefully, in a sense, it's almost like a hindrance, but not to bash my mom, but like, it's more of a belief that you can actually do it and taking it to the next level. So, and as I was listening to your whole story, it's just constantly talking about like how your dad was just pouring into you, like, even if you don't believe in you, I believe in the system enough that you'll be okay, and take you to the next level. And you're a living proof that, taking action really does work.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I do want to thank you for sharing your story. I mean, it's just so much meat and information here today that we went through a whole gamut of stuff, and it's really good. So
yeah, we went through a lot. So if anybody has questions, please reach out. And if you like getting started on your property, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out. All right. So I would say that is really it. I want to thank you so much for your time, for taking out. I know usually I try to schedule these. I mean, I know I'll put the schedule for 30 minutes, but I'm sure you're okay with it.
And I showed up an hour early.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody.
Yeah, if I could just put like a quick thing in. I mean, please, if anybody has any questions, they can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Ali the Agent, Ali spelled ALI _ agent, Ali the Agent. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. And do one more plug for your website.
Yeah, so Alexandra, that's my full name. Alexandra. There's no I in there. There's no I in Alexandra. Alexandra.Garced is my last name. Garced. You know what? Oh my gosh. Alexandra Garced without the dot. exprealty.com. Boom. Got it the 4th time.
Hey, there you go. It'll be in the show notes for everybody if you didn't get it. We'll make sure I'll put all the links in there. All right. Again, thank you so much, Ali. And I'm your host, Anthony, and you can follow me everywhere on the gram. Mostly that's where I'm most active at About That Wallet. And stay tuned and be safe. I'm out. Peace.